So that you know whenever we are live. I'm Lindsey Smith here with Saul, Bookman, Gerald, Bourguet, and Espo. Guys, how you feeling? Happy Monday.
I'm feeling tasty, toasty, and proasty.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah, are those all on the label? Or
they are all. I was gonna say. Four Peaks Oktoberfest.
We're having mic problems.
Oh,
Can you guys hear us now?
Womp, womp, womp.
Quick, mime everything.
2, 3, 4.
Uh-oh.
Yes?
Hey.
No?
Hi. I don't know.
Yay! Okay, there we go. We are in motion. Welcome in to the PHNX Suns pregame show.
Let's run the intro again. Let's go. Wow.
I'm Lindsey. That's Saul. That's Gerald. That's Espo. You guys know us. We're starting our Monday off pretty well over here. Saul's got some great Four Peaks beer. We're ready to watch the Suns and the Miami Heat face off tonight, and it's one of those insert Spider-Man meme here kind of games, right? These two teams are weirdly similar, both by the numbers and by their identity. Espo, I know you looked at the numbers today. Break it down for us.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at the game notes. So I know everybody's surprised, but when I was looking at it, I was like, okay, a lot of these stats start to look alike. And in particular, rebounds per game, 40.8 for the Suns, 40.5 for the Heat. 8.15 steals per game for the Heat, 8 for the Suns, 13.5 turnovers for the Heat, 13.3 turnovers for the Suns. You also, when you looked at opponents' rebounds given up, it was basically within 0.1 of each other as well at 42.5 and I believe 42.4. So tonight is going to be a case of the little things I think are going to make the difference in this game. When you look at it, it's going to be, are you hustling for those rebounds? Are you putting a body on a guy? Are you making sure that you're protecting the basketball more so than Miami is? And really, it's going to come down to those kind of things. Is DA going to show up on the boards tonight? Those kind of things will make the difference in this game. And one factor that I think will weigh in is the fact that the Suns have been in South Beach for 48 hours. Dehydration may come into play.
I guarantee they've all been on a boat for the last however many hours that they were outside of practice. They've been on boats the entire time.
You think so?
Yeah, that's usually every time we've gone to Miami. Their number one thing is, I need to be on a boat. I just got to get on a boat. Find me a boat. That's literally what it's always been.
Damn.
I'm on a boat.
That must be the life.
Right.
Yeah, not too shabby. Yeah, but the numbers obviously don't lie. And when you look up even beyond that, like shooting percentages and whatnot, they're all within a couple points of each other. Like this team is just so similar by the numbers, but then also by the identity. So Saul, you had mentioned that Jimmy Butler recently shared some thoughts about the Miami Heat and just kind of, it was in response to them blowing a couple 15-plus point leads and having to rely on him to have a 35-point game to get a win. What exactly did he say, and how do you think it fits similarly to the Suns?
Well, he had a good quote that he said to the Sun Sentinel. He said, "We're a very good team when we want to be on both sides of the ball." And I think sometimes we think we're too good, and that's when leads slip away. And I think when it comes to the Suns, we talked about this the other night after they lost to the Magic. It's not a case of that the regular seasons have a lot of importance, because I don't think these games really have too much importance outside of the fact that you don't want to drop too many of them and cost yourself seeding at the end of the season, right? I think more concerning and something that needs to be out of their DNA right now is, listen, fundamentally speaking, you still got to be solid. You still got to be strong. And the other night against the Magic, defensively, they were just very, very bad. They gave up way too many open lanes for easy shots time after time again. And those are the things that you can't have, because those things have a tendency that if you do them too many times, they become habits. And that's not a good thing to have if you're a championship contending team. You always want to practice good habits and get into those routines and those fundamentals that help you compete at a high level. And I think that's similar to what Miami's having to deal with right now is that they're kind of going through the motions with some of these things. And then Jimmy Butler's having to drop 35 just to save him from losing. And you can't have that. We can't rely on Devin Booker dropping 35 a game just so we can win easily. And that's why we keep harping on guys like Mikal and DA to step up and play a complete game, more consistently. So I just thought it was very cool that, well, not cool, but ironic that both of these teams are basically in the same boat.
For sure. And it seems like they're both at a point where they're kind of searching for their identity. Jimmy Butler's quote is pretty on the nose as far as that. And then Monty Williams was asked before today's game about the Suns' identity, and he was saying it's hard to say because we've had so many guys in and out of the lineup. They're trying new things with Chris Paul playing off the ball and Mikal initiating. DA hasn't been his normal self. So this is definitely a situation where, 10, 12 games into the season, they're still both trying to find themselves. And tonight is going to be a good start, going back to the stats thing, because the turnovers, the rebounds, the points off turnovers, they're all very even between the Suns and the Heat. So whoever can kind of give themselves a small advantage in any one of those categories is going to be helpful.
I'm actually surprised that Jimmy Butler said what he said, because this roster is comprised of a lot of undrafted guys in Miami. I believe it's 9 or 10 of them on the 15-man roster are like undrafted guys. So and 2 of which are in the starting lineup tonight, and Max Strus and Caleb Martin, that you would think, because those guys had to overcome to get in the league, that you wouldn't have those kind of mental lapses, that trying hard perpetually would kind of be in the DNA of the Miami Heat. So it surprises me that it sounds like they have the playing with their food problem, even though they don't have guys that could have the luxury of doing that over time.
But you'd be surprised. I mean, sometimes you get around an environment that maybe you didn't grow up with, right? Or you haven't been around a lot. It's really easy to just let that become your identity, who you are in any situation. So it doesn't surprise me that you see guys like that kind of fall victim, if you will, to that type of a mentality, even though they know better. We do have a super chat from Psycho Blue. Thank you for your super chat. Said Basketball Cthulhu says, watching Sabonis lately is making me invoke my unholy anger at Ayton. If only we could fire him out of a beam.
25 and 22 last night for Sabonis.
Oh, damn.
25 points, 22 rebounds for the Kings last night. He's playing significantly better this year than Ayton. And he's a guy that they could have gotten for Ayton at the deadline.
He is. I still think I'd rather roll with DeAndre Ayton moving forward, especially with the particular makeup of this team. But yeah, we've all been saying this. DA needs to get back on track. He needs to play more physical, get to the foul line more, really increase the rebounds, and just be more productive in general, especially for this stretch with Cam Johnson out. When
it comes to the top 4 guys in this lineup, and when it comes, and I don't include Cam Johnson in this because of injuries and stuff like that, but the top 4 guys in this lineup and the top 6 centers in the league overall, DeAndre Ayton plays the least amount out of all of them. He has just barely over a 50% usage rate when it comes to actual game time on the floor. But amongst those 6 centers, he is in the middle of the pack in terms of efficiency. So it's just again, you just got to use him more. I'm sorry, not efficiency, in terms of play rate, and how many times the Suns will call a play with him being the primary option, which is at about 25% this year, which is a career high. So it's not, again, we talked about it before the season. It's not about getting him the ball. It's about him doing something active. It's for DA, it's always been about activity. It's never been about anything else, really. It's been about his activity, and his activity has been very concerningly low.
It's not the offensive end for me, though.
It's defense.
Rebounding, which his numbers are putrid when it comes to that, on not offensively. Offensive rebounding, he's still pretty good compared to the other centers, but defensive rebounding has really been bad. But the other stat that surprised me with DA, 1.9 free throws a game. Mm-hmm. You know who happens to be a tick better than him on free throws per game? His backup, Jock Landale. Mm. They're both in the mid-20s in terms of centers getting to the free throw line. It's not a pretty picture.
Defensively, when we talk about Bam, we talk about Gobert, we talk about, I even threw Cat in there. Defensively, DA is actually ranked worse than the top 6 centers in the league right now. Mm-hmm. Like defensively.
That's been his calling card
and
for so long.
It's supposed to be the one thing that he can anchor.
Right.
And he's not pulling his weight in that. Again, I thought my eyes were telling me something. The stats when I looked at them were kind of just verifying that. He's got to step up.
So, Lindsey, would you and Gerald like to argue now that Saul and I provided a bunch of stats?
Yeah, we can argue. Gerald, what do you want to argue about? Before Gerald and I get to arguing, we do have one more super chat from Manuel. Thank you for your super chat. Said, I'm just hoping that this is kind of like 2021 DA that we're seeing right now, and he just goes ballistic once the playoffs starts. I think we're all hoping that it's just a rough start, but I would prefer not to wait until the playoffs to see that.
Right.
I'll give him a few weeks, maybe after Thanksgiving, but I would like to see that a lot sooner than the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm holding out a slim amount of hope that it's the ankle that has slowed him a bit, has changed some of the aggressiveness, on the rebounding, and that as that progresses, hopefully he progresses. But I'm not going to hold my breath because I might pass out. So.
I need to see that dog in him.
Yeah,
I need to see that. Like, I just remember seeing this kid at U of A, and like there were just games where you just felt like, damn, this dude is just a beast. Like, and I don't know where it went. He hasn't shown it too many times as a Sun. To be honest with you, he had a dunk on some Spur. Maybe it was a Thiago Splitter or something like that. His rookie year, and I was like, okay, you see it a little bit there. In the playoffs, he had a couple moments where he was strong, but other than that, like I haven't seen that just aggressive. Like I'm going to dominate. The dominating moniker is the biggest fraud ever. Point blank, he
right
really
now.
is. No, it's always been that way. When has he ever just like come out and you're just like, damn, that dude's a beast.
2021 playoffs.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, he's had games here and there. I think this is his most inconsistent start to the season since this team kind of rose to that level of relevance. But I will say, like, the thing that concerns me with DA is he's always been good about the second effort stuff and finishing plays. Like if he's not the primary option, okay, he's sealing guys down in the paint, or he's on defense. If a ball goes up, he's going and he's away from the play. He goes to help out. And it just seems like I've seen him more kind of stand around and watch when he's not directly involved. Mm-hmm. And they need him on those second effort things. They need him to go crash the defensive glass or to keep working in the post, even if he doesn't get the initial pass on the pick and roll. Those are the things that have helped him find success, crashing the offensive glass. Like he's really good at that. And when you see him sprint down and do those little things, you know that it's one of those nights, and we just haven't seen that type of stuff from him.
To be fair, not the worst start to a season for DA. That time he peed in a cup and got popped for PEDs. Definitely the worst.
Come on.
So, it could be worse, everybody.
Also, at least DA doesn't struggle as much as Michaela is right now, trying to pull up 2 cases of Four Peaks lager while trying to juggle
so many valuable bottles of beer.
While trying to juggle her Starbucks inside of her purse. This cannot end well at all.
Our most precious commodity. Don't ruin it. By the way, I think we've sold pretty well with the Four Peaks. My child recognized the Four Peaks logo.
Nice.
That was half covered yesterday
Let's go.
at a restaurant. So
there you go.
Ozzy Sun's fan pod says, interested to see how DA responds tonight. Bam is one opponent he should see as a significant challenge. Hello earlier in the comments said, in previous years, DA has always been better than Bam. So that's something that I think a lot of people are going to be looking at tonight to see how this matchup kind of unfolds. But we have a few more tidbits for you. And speaking of DA, we'll just kind of give you this one. He's 12 points away from reaching 4,000 for his career. And when he reaches that, DA will become the 6th player in Suns history with 4,000 career points, 2,500 rebounds, and 250 blocks. Joining Alvin Adams, Sean Marion, Amari Stoudemire, Larry Nance, and Dan Marley. So that's pretty cool.
That's quite the stat right there.
Yeah, and if he does it tonight, he'll have reached all 3 milestones the fastest out of that group in terms of games played. He'll be the second youngest. Stat was a little bit younger because he came in younger, but really prestigious company. I know those are kind of like random parameters, but it is something that's interesting because as bad as it feels right now, he has been very good for this team. Hopefully he's able to take it up a notch to where it needs to be.
It's not the stats, it's how he got there. That bothers me, I think, more. Obviously.
I'll just say this. Pretty sad that only 2 of those guys are in the Ring of Honor, but I'll leave it there.
Yeah, we'll get into that more another day. We don't have enough time on this show.
Don't worry, Bezos will fix that.
To bring up that conversation. A few more tidbits for you guys. Of course, we got to look at the injury report because, again, the Suns will be without Chris Paul. He was questionable coming into tonight's game, but he's officially out. Landry Shamet is still out with those concussion-type symptoms, and, of course, Cam Johnson. On the Heat side, Tyler Hero was also questionable coming into tonight's game, but he is out. And Victor Oladipo is out. And then Dwayne Dedmon is still probable. He was questionable. I think they upgraded him to probable. Is he good to go at this point?
Yeah, he'll be good to go after all.
Okay. Yeah, so that's kind of your injury. I need to know what's going on with Chris Paul. Because I'm not buying right heel soreness.
I told you.
I'm not buying it.
I told you.
I'm not saying it's detrimental or this crazy thing, but it can't just be soreness.
Put on the tinfoil hat. Come with me.
Here we go.
Pop an OGs if you must. Look, I actually think this is more, it hurts a little bit, but this is their way of doing load management with Chris Paul.
Okay.
Saying, take the extra few days. It's fine. Take him. Let's make sure you're 100% healthy. Where in the past he'd have already been back. I think this is just their way of getting him to agree to sit some games out because he's not going to do it if he's healthy. So you might as well milk the injury if you can to get him to take a few
3 games though.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, okay. I just don't see Chris Paul just like, well, I feel 100%, but I'm going to sit down.
I'm not saying he doesn't feel 100%, that he feels 100%. I'm saying he feels 85, maybe 90. And they're like, let's just wait till you're 100. We don't want to re-aggravate.
Well, Monty said we have to wait till he's 150%.
Okay, well, good. Then
maybe we're almost there.
Extended load management.
Didn't he say that? I feel like I saw somebody tweet
so
that.
we're going to wait till we go back to 2009 for that to happen.
No, he's old. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's you take longer to heal from these type of things. They don't want to put him out there if he's going to make something worse. I'm okay with it. It could just be that it is sore and the soreness has lingered. Like he's older now, but yeah, I'm good with them being overly cautious in this case.
Sometimes the orthotics just don't hit right.
The Dr. Scholl's.
That's it.
They're not hitting.
I'm fine with them being overly cautious. I would just. And I know this is wishful thinking. It's the Suns. We all know how they operate over there. I would just like a little bit more information around it.
I'm sure
Give me a timeline. Give me a little bit more of a legitimate update.
Have you ever bruised your heel?
Nah, I don't think so.
Never? Have you guys?
What would I be doing that would bruise my heel?
I have general soreness all the time. I don't know. Sure, maybe I bruised my heel.
I am constantly at 75%. I don't know what 100% feels like.
Oh, jeez.
Lindsey, you'll get your Chris Paul update when they tell us that the surgery was successful.
Oh, my God. I know, right?
I mean, he's getting up shots pregame and stuff. I think if it was like an Achilles or he had actually done something to screw up his heel, he would not be out there.
I have hurt my heel before, but it was because more of like a plantar fasciitis thing, but then it turned into like more of a bruised heel. And it's not fun. It's not fun. Now, again, I was like 30, so I was back on the court in like a week. He's 37, so it'll be like a month.
Oh, my goodness.
He's old.
Can we answer a question in the chat about Kyrie?
There's a Kyrie
question. The question is no.
It's how would you guys feel about trading CP3 for Kyrie? I'm not a big fan of Kyrie, but at this point, would he give us more than Chris? Yes, and I still wouldn't trade for him. No, not at all.
I would trade for Kyrie if I had nobody on my team, and I didn't want to give up anybody. So no, I would never.
And
trade.
you were
Kyrie
okay
going
with
to the Lakers? I thought we
That-
had already decided
That
was
is
what
the
was gonna
only
happen.
trade that's going to happen is Westbrook for Kyrie. That's the only team desperate enough to tie themselves to the mess that is Kyrie Irving right now.
True.
And the Nets have been better without him. Just saying.
They have been.
Okay, well, let's not go too far down that rabbit hole. Let's talk a little bit of sports gambling, because that's always a fun one here on the pregame show. Who you guys think is going to win tonight,
gambling.
and by how much?
I got the Suns by 4.
Okay.
Same. I got the Suns by 4 as well.
I have Suns by 2. I think this is going to be a tight one.
Heat by 3.
Okay.
The South Beach flu
Mhm.
claims another victim.
Could be.
be.
And I'm pretty sure last year their 2 meetings, one they got whopped at home by the
But
Heat.
they played
And
better
then
on the
this-
road. Both teams
Yeah,
did.
the road game was when they were on the second night of a back-to-back Orlando Heat, and they won that game by like almost 30. So
I don't know. I kind of feel like they just have. I know they're tired, and the whole like flu thing that's going around Miami right now. But I kind of feel like it's one of those flus that'll give you a little bit more energy sometimes. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Have you been hungover in Miami?
what type of flus do you have?
The one in Miami hits different than the one everywhere else in the entire world. I'm just saying.
I think that's a, I
Are
think
you
that's a
guys
fever,
not getting
not a
that
flu.
I'm making a joke
think
about
Lindsey-
Espo saying the Miami flu, meaning they're hungover?
I think
And I'm-
Lindsey was
like, I'm
claiming
making a
cocaine.
No, I get it. I get it.
No, yeah.
I think that's more of a fever than a flu.
Yeah, I got a
Oh my god!
It's more
Wow.
cowbell.
Anyway, what about friends at the DraftKings Sportsbook app in Vegas thinking about tonight's game?
I think they're very much like us, and they're a little torn on this one. They have the
Yeah.
Heat by 1.5. So
It was interesting because early this morning when I checked the odds, the Heat were a -2 and the Suns were a +2. So kind of shifted a little bit since this
Chris
morning.
Paul, maybe. Yeah, maybe. that.
Maybe.
Could be.
But don't you guys always say that the home team usually gets 2 points?
Yep.
So this is
Usually.
a complete toss-up. So even Vegas understands the similarities between these two teams and that it quite literally is a toss-up.
We don't know what any of these teams are yet, so we're just gonna say plus 1.5.
Yeah.
Sure.
What bets are you guys placing on DraftKings tonight?
Mine's pretty simple. I have a team total in points in the first half, over 52.5. After the last 3 losses that the Suns have had, obviously we're not counting today because we don't know what's going to happen today. They have scored 61, 61, and 69 points in the first half on those bounce backs. So tonight, 52.5 against the Heat. I like it. Take it. Plus
Okay.
100.
I have 3+ 3-pointers made in the first 3 minutes of the first quarter. This
Oh,
is
wow.
between the two teams. If Strus gets open looks, he could do it himself based on the way he played over the weekend. So I'm going to take those plus 475 odds and think we see a bit of a 3-point barrage in the first 3 minutes.
I mean, that would be fun. I've got the over for Book tonight at 4.5 rebounds at a plus 105. I think I took this on Friday's game and it hit for me then, and I'm gonna keep riding it because I feel like Devin is just doing Devin things right now, especially not so much points wise because he has struggled there a little bit, but assists and rebounds. I feel like we're getting a lot from Devin right now, so I'm gonna keep that going.
And then I've got minus 10,000 odds that Jae Crowder is watching tonight's game.
Ooh.
It's not a very better friendly vote, but it's one that's sure to hit because there's no way that he's not watching this game between his current team and potentially his future team.
Heyo.
Segue.
And his former team, too.
Transition.
Yeah, that's true.
Transition.
Yes, so Real GM reported that the Suns have recently started to engage or re-engage teams about a Jae Crowder trade, and one of those teams is the Miami Heat. So the article said, quote, some with the Suns see Max Strus as an integral part of any deal that would send Crowder to Miami. Do you think that there is a realistic possibility that they would let him go?
No.
Dreaming's free. I mean, I think it became a much more difficult proposition after he dropped 31 this weekend.
Max
So
Strus is a legit player. He's
No,
very good.
I agree, but I also know that Miami's in salary cap hell.
This
So
is true.
and he's a free agent, and they don't think they can re-sign him.
So get
So-
something for him in
Plu-
return?
Plus, they're struggling too. So
Well, regardless of where you fall as far as whether this is reality or just a complete pipe dream, we cooked up a few trade ideas that maybe could get the deal done. Obviously, it can't just be 1-for-1 because salary doesn't match. So first up, we've got the Suns receiving Victor Oladipo and Max Strus, and the Heat receiving Jae Crowder and a 2023 first-round pick. Yes? No?
I
Maybe?
mean, I love this, but I don't think the Heat are going to give up Strus and Oladipo, even with Oladipo being hurt, for a first-round pick that'll be like 25-30 range.
Well, and this can't happen until January 15th because Oladipo signed that contract extension that I think was 20% higher than what he was at. So he can't be traded until January 15th. But if he remains injured and Miami continues to struggle, they may be at a desperation point where they feel they need to do something, and that may motivate them to do this. And an extra first-round pick could give them more ammunition to try to get a guy at the deadline as well if they chose to go that way. So that's why I see maybe a possibility there.
Rick James 2345. I think he nails it best. Where he says, yeah, he dropped 31, but have you seen Boss Man 99 workout videos?
I
True.
have.
Very true.
Black and white.
Didn't he tell us that he's in the best shape of his life?
He is in the best shape of his life.
Like, sometimes you should just believe
he
what
is in
people tell you they are.
poolside shape.
Hey, guys, I'm in the best shape of my life.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
One
Same.
of these things is not
Healthy
like
living.
the other one. I like this trade. If they could pull it off, that'd be great. I'm not a big Oladipo fan. I don't see how he would fit here with the Suns. I don't feel like he does any one particular thing anymore that's very good. I think he's just kind of a mid-level player now. So you're making this trade for Strus and what he brings to the table. So I like it.
I will say back in the day, Oladipo used to crush when you had him on your team in fantasy basketball. He was the best.
Yeah.
Anyway, we do have one additional trade. This one has the Suns receiving Duncan Robinson and Max Strus, and the Heat receiving Jae Crowder and Dario Saric.
This is a complete help Miami get out of salary cap hell move.
Yeah.
This one I think is more realistic than
I think
the
if you're
other
the
one.
Suns, you'd probably want a pick in return as well.
Maybe, but
Just because you're
F
taking
them
on
kids.
you're taking on Duncan Robinson's salary for a longer projected time than what Jae Crowder is still on the books for. You need some type of assurance that you can at least try to build this team in some way, shape, or form with some assets if you're going to be hamstrung by the cap. And you would be hamstrung by the cap if you brought on Duncan Robinson's contract. So
Yeah, that's a tough one because I wouldn't see Miami being willing to give up a pick just to get Jay, and even with getting Duncan Robinson's, I think it's remaining 4 years left.
4 years, 16.9 mil.
Yeah, I think that's his annual.
per
Yeah,
year,
but
yeah.
I said mil.
Oh, you said 4 years, 16.9
He
years.
was saying 4 years.
right.
And I was agreeing with Gerald
Yeah.
that there's 4 left.
Right. So that would be nice for the Heat to get out of that contract. I just don't know if they'd be willing to attach a pick to get out of it. I think if they're looking at that trade, they're just saying, why don't I just keep these guys and save ourselves a pick? We might be better off.
Not that good anymore.
No, he's not. And that's the problem is like the Suns need shooting, but like he's a defender that cannot be on the floor come playoff time. Like as much as we talk about how bad Landry Shamet has been, at least he can defend and is not a complete albatross.
He's the opposite of Duncan Robinson.
I don't
He
know.
can defend really, really well. Can't shoot for shit.
Landry shoots so well when the Suns are up. Don't even. It's so
Landry
enjoyable
shoots
to
very
watch.
well
The
on
Suns just need to
Wednesdays
be
when the
up.
Suns are playing in Minnesota. That's about the only day that he plays well.
I just look at this, and if you make that deal, I think it's a harbinger that Cam Johnson isn't being re-signed because you're making the deal to get a guy that's expiring because you're going to probably want him long term. So you're going to pay there, plus you're taking on that money for Duncan Robinson. It probably puts you in a position where Cam may not be in the future.
It's potential. I don't know. I feel like if you are trading for Duncan Robinson, you are definitely having the thought in mind that we will try to move him in the future just because he's not the guy that he was a year or two ago just because of the defense.
I don't know what that means.
That means you only do well when your team's doing well.
Oh. I mean, I would
Isn't it
love to
great
see.
be listened to,
I would
Joe?
just love to see the numbers on that one. I'm just saying. But Aussie Suns fans pod said the numbers of Duncan Robinson. So he's 16.9 this year, 18 next, then 19.4, then 19.8, which is a pretty penny.
By the way, that's a fun show, the Aussie.
Were you on this weekend?
I was on for 2 straight hours.
Nice.
This week, and they got more information out of me than I probably should have.
But, did you hear what he had set you up for?
No, what happened?
Oh,
I
yes.
said the next time they're out here, I'll get you to come out and say hi to them.
Because he said that he can do better than me because I FaceTimed you when they were here. He's like, I'll get her to come out. I was like,
I said,
okay.
my relationship with
Big
Lindsey,
wink.
much closer than Saul. I was like, I can make it happen.
Yeah, to add that little tidbit.
Good luck with that.
We'll see. You just let me know.
We'll see.
I'll check my schedule. We'll see.
I'm going to make sure we go to a bar within 30 feet of Lindsey's place so she's willing to come out.
So that bar better be the backyard.
If it's in my little bubble, maybe I'll come. We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. I guess we're gonna have to find out.
Even the worst question they asked about this show. That's only the one you heard. So.
No, I mean, I was scanning through it, but I'll get to it because I'm gonna be on here soon. So,
all right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you. Enjoy the game, and don't forget to meet us right back here after it wraps up. Bye.
PHNX. Hey yo, my lifestyle is retro. Tell the Phoenix Metro. Megas in control and he ain't never gonna let go. PHNX though. Lindsey, Gerald, Espo. Saul pass the ball. We here to turn